The woods of Lansdown, Nova Scotia, stretch endlessly, dark, cold, and foreboding, the river rushing violently, carrying with it an unease that settles in the chest, a place where hope seems almost foolish, and yet volunteers march forward, trudging through waist-deep water, thick underbrush, fallen trees, and biting wind, searching for Lily, 6, and Jack, 4, children who disappeared over 6 months ago, leaving behind nothing but a void, a whisper of lives interrupted, a mystery that continues to gnaw at the edges of reason. You might think that after all this time, after exhaustive searches by police, cadaver dogs, drones, and helicopters, there would be closure, some fragment of explanation, some thread to follow. But there isn't. There is only the relentless cold, the unyielding forest, and the haunting reality that every step forward feels like a step deeper into uncertainty. A step that brings no answers, but only frustration, disappointment, and the suffocating awareness that maybe the truth is beyond reach. That maybe the children are gone, lost to this merciless wilderness. The CBC article that came out yesterday offers what can only be described as a grim update on Saturday's search, led by the Ontario-based nonprofit Please Bring Me Home, a group accustomed to tragedy, to chasing the shadows of missing people who may never be found, a group that has faced these horrors before, locating more than 50 missing individuals since 2018, including the remains of Eric Spencer, missing for 6 years. And yet, even with experience, even with methodical plans, they are still powerless in the face of nature, in the face of the endless questions that stretch like dark vines through Lansdown, Nova Scotia. Volunteers, 30 in number, descended upon the sparsely populated community, hearts full of hope, shoulders heavy with the weight of expectation, expecting to find some sign of Lily and Jack, expecting to make a difference, and yet, by the end of the day, they were left disappointed, empty-handed, haunted by the relentless silence of the forest, the absence of any breakthrough, and the cruel reality that what they found, what they uncovered, was ultimately irrelevant to the disappearance. A bitter reminder that not all efforts yield answers, that some searches are doomed before they begin. Among the items found were fragments of life that seemed to mock the desperation of the volunteers, items that suggested a story, a history, a presence, but ultimately led nowhere. A black t-shirt with a blue design was discovered along the riverbank, photographed, sent to the RCMP, and then to the children's mother, Malay Brooks Murray, who did not recognize it, which in itself was a kind of cruel joke, a glimmer of hope dashed upon the rocks of reality. A geocaching kit was found, its logbook containing the name of the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, dated 11 years ago. A quarter left behind, a trace of life long past, irrelevant to the immediate terror of the missing children, yet its discovery stirred unease, a reminder of the tangled web of human history overlaying this tragedy, a reminder that not all coincidences are comforting, that some details only deepen the sense of hopelessness. A blue blanket and a children's bicycle were also found, scattered along the rough terrain, items that might have belonged to anyone, might have meant nothing, might have been left as cruel symbols of what was missing, of the innocence vanished without trace. Volunteers had waded through rivers and climbed over fallen trees, eyes scanning the undergrowth, hands brushing past brambles, hearts racing with the hope that maybe today would be different. Maybe today they would finally find a clue that mattered. And yet, with every step, the forest seemed to push back, to swallow their optimism, to mock their determination. The river, cold and unyielding, carried with it the threat of danger, the constant reminder that nature is indifferent, that time is cruel, that even the most dedicated searchers are powerless when faced with the enormity of the wilderness and the passage of months. Search teams even investigated the areas where drones had detected heat signatures on the night of May 2nd, only to determine that these were likely bears, adding insult to injury as the presence of animals replaced any lingering hope with the grim reminder that the woods belong to them now. that whatever happened to Lily and Jack, it is hidden, obscured, beyond reach, and perhaps forever. Then there were the bones. Bones wrapped in a blanket, discovered by a volunteer group, bones that sparked the heart to pound and hope to rise, only to be cruelly deflated by an anthropologist's determination that they were animal remains. Perhaps a dog, perhaps something else, but certainly not the children. A shocking, almost unbearable moment that underscored the relentless futility of the search, the painful oscillation between hope and despair that marks every step in a case like this. Volunteers tried to make sense of it, tried to maintain morale, but the shadow of disappointment hung over every group, every individual, a reminder that human effort is often swallowed by the indifference of reality. Compounding the difficulty were tensions within the community itself. Property owners along the riverbank voiced anger, shouted warnings, and reminded volunteers that not all lands were open for passage, creating friction between well-meaning searchers and local residents. One tense confrontation involved a Mackenzie family member who threatened the searchers, claiming dangerous animals and the need to vacate the land. Volunteers navigated this hostility as best they could, attempting to respect private property while maintaining their desperate search. But it added another layer of exhaustion, frustration, and the subtle, corrosive sense that no matter how hard they tried, nothing could be done to control the forest, the locals, or the outcome of the disappearance. Even the emotional weight on the families of Lily and Jack is almost too much to bear. The children's paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray, cried openly during the search, asserting her belief that they were still in the woods, a hope that feels increasingly fragile as each day passes without answers. Her grief is tangible, infectious, a mirror reflecting the despair of anyone who ventures into these dense woods hoping for closure, hoping for certainty, and instead finding only ambiguity. Only shadows and the cruel teasing of items that ultimately change nothing. Every ribbon tied to mark a previously searched area, every painstaking step along the riverbank serves as a reminder that the forest has been combed thoroughly, that the children's trail has all but vanished, leaving only the lingering, bitter taste of uncertainty. The RCMP maintains that this is a missing persons case, not a criminal investigation. Yet the sheer volume of tips, over 860, and video files, over 8,000, demonstrates the complexity, the entangled web of possibility that surrounds this case. For every lead followed, a dead end arises. For every volunteer who searches tirelessly, nature and time conspire to frustrate progress. The cadaver dogs, trained to detect human remains, are being redeployed, a measure of last resort, an acknowledgement that conventional methods have failed, that all other searches have only yielded fragments, hints, and a deeper sense of helplessness. Hope, it seems, is the only thing left to cling to, fragile and fleeting, yet all that remains for families and volunteers alike. And still, the search continues. Every item found, every footprint observed, every piece of evidence that seems promising is met with disappointment, negated by reality, dismissed by investigators, and returned to irrelevance. A bicycle, a blanket, a t-shirt, a quarter left in a geocache, animal bones, each a reminder of how cruel the universe can be, how much of human effort is swallowed by chaos and indifference. Volunteers wade on, pressed against cold currents and angry brush, as if persistence alone could conjure answers from the forest, as if the woods would eventually relent and provide the truth. But the truth, like the children themselves, remains elusive, a specter beyond comprehension, a reality that is deeply, unbearably negative. Imagine standing there, as the volunteers do, cold and wet, scanning the banks and the thick forest, seeing nothing but shadows, hearing nothing but the river's endless roar, feeling the weight of months of absence, feeling the impossibility of it all pressing down on your shoulders. Imagine the emotional toll of finding nothing relevant while the forest continues to mock every effort, while time relentlessly pushes the missing further into obscurity. This is the grim reality of searching for Lily and Jack Sullivan. Every discovery is a reminder of what has been lost, and every hope is immediately tempered by reality, a balance that tilts far too often toward despair. The public may think the volunteers' efforts bring progress, but the truth is far less comforting. The items found yesterday, geocaching kit, t-shirt, blanket, bicycle, animal bones, do not bring answers. They do not reveal clues. They do not heal the gaping wound left by Lily and Jack's disappearance. The forest remains indifferent, the river unstoppable, and the passage of time relentless. Volunteers may persist, families may cling to hope, and authorities may continue to sift through tips, but the negative weight of failure, of disappointment, of irrelevance is inescapable, pressing down on everyone involved like the cold Nova Scotia air on a winter morning. Detective Tim here. Like, share, drop your comments, and subscribe so you don't miss any breaking updates. But even as you do, understand the harsh reality. The truth of what happened to Lily and Jack is still hidden, the search is ongoing, and every day without discovery strengthens the oppressive shadow of hopelessness that looms over this case. Think about it. Would you continue in such conditions, knowing that every step might be futile, every effort potentially meaningless, yet still compelled by duty, by love, by the faintest glimmer of hope? That is the cruel paradox of missing children cases like this. That is the unrelenting darkness that volunteers face when chasing shadows, fragments, whispers, and nothing more. The forest stretches endlessly. The river rages with no care for human urgency. The snowflies will soon come, and the volunteers, despite exhaustion, despite disappointment, despite the unrelenting negative reality of the search, will return, guided by duty and by hope, a hope that may be misguided, fragile, and relentlessly challenged. Items will continue to be found, irrelevant fragments scattered by time and nature. Bones will continue to be animal remains. Blankets will hide nothing. T-shirts and bicycles will speak only to absence. Yet the search will persist as long as the volunteers can bear it, as long as the families cling to what they believe, and as long as Detective Tim can bring these updates to you, exposing the relentless, unforgiving truth of a search that offers nothing but questions, frustration, and the cruel dance between hope and despair that defines the missing children of Lansdown, Nova Scotia. And so, the story continues, bleak, unforgiving, and grimly unresolved. Every river bend, every tree, every shadow conceals a mystery that might never be revealed, and yet the search trudges onward. Cadaver dogs will return, volunteers will return, families will return, and the forest will remain indifferent, vast, and unyielding, keeping its secrets close, reminding all who enter that the world is often cruel and that not every effort brings results. Not every search ends with discovery, and not every child is returned to the arms of those who wait in hope. This is the stark, relentless reality of the Lily and Jack Sullivan case, and nothing about it offers comfort, only the sober truth that some mysteries endure, some losses remain, and some shadows never lift.